Good to see you on this Thursday. Today's topic is about our thinking process. And I thought of so many different ways. Is it friend or foe? It was the first thing I wanted to say. Is it working for you or against you? Is the second thing. And I thought, let me just talk in general terms about the thinking process. And this topic came from everybody who showed up last week or last Tuesday when I did my last live. And so I'm just going to wait 5 minutes to see if people get their notifications and come online here and say hello for those who are joining. And then we'll get into the topic. And the topic came up in the comments last session about the thinking process. And I thought, that's a really good topic because so many thinking processes are distorted, right? But how do we know how our thinking process is distorted if we don't know, right? We only know what we know until we know differently, and then we have a different knowing. And so really a thinking process oftentimes is so disconnected from our knowing, and that's what I'm going to be talking about today. So welcome to those of you who are joining me. Give me a shout out in the comments, whether you're watching live or if you're watching on the record. Please put a note in the comment to let me know that you're here, because I love seeing you, new people and those who are repeating that come onto these videos. I appreciate you so much, because sometimes this spiritual journey can feel so lonely. And just a brief story today, before I get into the topic. I was talking to somebody in session and they said, Kiannaa, you should really go to Bali. And I was like, oh, okay. And I really wasn't going to say much about Bali. And he continued to talk, and I said, I just don't resonate. I don't feel called to go to Bali. He's like, I had such a good session. There were so many witches there. And I thought, that's interesting. I was like, I definitely do not have an affinity to go and meet with any witches. I've had enough witches. Hello. I've had enough witches in my path. And then he went on to ask me about how I got into the work that I do. And hello. And, long story short, I ran into a witch, and wasn't a good witch. And that's really what amplified my healing journey. We all come to our awakenings in a different way, and some can have it soft and gentle, and some of us get a kick in the ass. And I got my ass kicked, and here I am. I live to tell about it. Near-death experiences, all kinds of different things that I've gone through, and here I am wanting to share with you all who come on here. So I'm just going to wait 5 minutes and see before I go on to talk about our thinking process. Friend or foe? Is it working for us or against us? And Mick was on the last live, and he mentioned his thinking process, and I just really wanted to go into our thinking processes more. It comes up very often, whether people are in therapy with a therapist who sucks or that they like, they're always processing. And reflection is good, but integration is better. And when you get to the integration process, then your next step is embodiment. And if you don't know how to embody the energies, then you're missing out, because then you get stuck. You're getting stuck in the thinking process. And what happens in the thinking process, there's a lot of mental viruses out there. People have these feedback loops. They have these looping patterns within their thinking processes that makes them think that they're making process, and makes them think that they're in their heart. It makes them think that they're on the right track, and then they think they've got the solutions from the same place in which they originated the problem, and then they think they solved it until it repeats again. So there you go. And now I just realized I don't have my glasses, so I'm seeing, hello, is that Christy? I'm still retraining my eyes. Where did I put my glasses? Gosh darn it, I might not be able to read the comments. Hey, Eric. Well, I see Eric there. Hello, hello, hello. All right, so here we go with the thinking process. You know, I just went through all the loops that so many of us have when we are processing, okay? So let's just talk about what is processing. A healthy process will take you from reflection, so pause, reflect. In the reflection, you will have a choice to do an action, and it takes you into conscious action that moves you out of a pattern. Without the conscious action, or the conscious decision to go out of a pattern, and just deciding to go out of a pattern can often be enough. But it might also not be enough, and you need an actual movement from the decision. So when you have a thought process, how do you know if it's working? That's what you want to ask yourself. Is this process working? And what does working mean? Well, it's going to mean something different to all of us, but how do you know if your thought process is working? So I want to pause there, and I want you to comment. Oh, actually, I'm going to do I want to do a poll here, and I'm going to start the poll. Okay. All right. Here it is. There's the question in the poll. I'm going to go get my glasses, so I'll be right back. Okay, y'all. So there's a question in the poll. Hello, hello. Okay, I got my glasses now. I can see. Hey, Mick. Mick, you inspired me. Today's topic. AK, good to see you. Kaden, good to see you. Adis, good to see you. Hello, India. I love this movie. Good to see you all. Okay, hey, Christy. Okay, Aquarius. Okay, so Mick, you put in the comments thinking process, and I wanted to talk today about the thinking process. So how do you know if your thinking process is working? That's something you want to know. Is your thinking process working, or is your process infected? How do you know if your thinking process is infected? Well, you have a lot of drama, you have a lot of chaos, you're feeling depressed, anxious, you don't feel good in your body, you might have a lot of physical pain. Let me see, what else? How would you know? You don't feel at peace. That would be a good way of understanding if you, hey, Carlston, is it Carlston? Catson. Hello, hello. How do you know if you have an infection? Well, you have a lot of challenges in expression. It would be a good way of knowing. You don't feel good. You don't have peace. You don't feel peace in your heart. You don't have peace in your primary relationships. So you can have a challenge and still feel at peace. So it's not about not having challenges. So these are ways in which you can see if your thinking process is working, okay? But how do you know you're advancing in your spiritual evolution? Is to go from a thinking process to a heart-based process where you're feeling your thoughts through your portal of your own physical heart space, which is also an energetic portal, right? So you want to learn to think, feel, understand, perceive through the heart. When you are perceiving through the heart, you're going to perceive very differently than you think. Your thinking process will lie to you. The mind will lie, but your heart will not. Now, many people have a closed heart. They have closed down their heart, whether they consciously know it or not. Mick is saying, all spiritual, I believe your spirit has to be right for all to work. Well, spirit is always right, right? But it's not always in alignment. So how do you know? How do you know? How do you know what's right? Because right and wrong is ego of the mind and in judgment. Because if we're seeing something as right and wrong, then that's judgment. Is that in alignment with spirit? So, and Mick, many people think they're at peace, but they don't know what peace feels like. It's very interesting. It's like with a session this last week, I took a client through a portal, and they immediately want to capture it. They don't know that they can access that at any point in time when they're fully connected, you know. So it's about knowing what and who you are, what and where you came from. And a lot of what we've experienced in our mind is flawed. So our thinking process, Eric, I'm doing good. I actually just went and had a session with a chiropractor, so I'm feeling very aligned. So our thinking process is not always in connection with our heart. So if you don't know, or even if you pay attention in your awareness and you get savvy and you say, I know, or I think, knowingness is not a thought. It's an experience. It's a feeling. It's a vibration. It's a frequency. It's all of that. So when you know, you know. If you know, you know, right? But how do we correct our distorted thinking and our distorted thinking processes? Well, we can't correct it if we're not in acknowledgement that our processing is flawed. And oftentimes we're not able to look at our flawed processes because we have a belief system or we have thoughts that keep us from thinking that our process needs to be altered. And then you think, oh, I got to go read a book that's going to tell me how to get my processes in alignment. Sorry, I'm wanting to cross my legs, but I don't want to rock my hips out of balance, which is probably what put them out of balance in the first place. So when you are taking a lot of time to read a lot of books and you're reading, that reading and thinking does not equal processing, okay? It can, but more often than not, when people are thinking, they're processing, they're actually thinking. And they're just thinking in loops and spirals, and it makes them think that they're processing, but they're not. How do you know if you're processing? You're actually experiencing yourself different. You actually experience relationships differently. You perceive differently. When things are integrated in your process, you will feel distinctly differently, and your thoughts will have shifted and changed. You won't be looping in those thoughts anymore. So a lot of people tend to go in what I call a descending spiral of thoughts around events or situations or relationships with people, because they haven't made a conscious choice to change. They want the other people to change who you have no control over, and you don't want to change because you feel obligated to stay the same, so those other people who don't change feel comfortable. So there's this oftentimes a process of self-abdication, a giving up of your own personal power, and then you lose your personal sovereignty, which, by the way, I am so excited. I'm going to be doing a video with somebody about that, and I will be posting it on here. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be a video. If you haven't watched my Are You Bullied by Your Family video, it's going to be a take on that and going next level, because that series is my most popular series that I have to date, and I haven't updated it, where I still get hundreds of people that go and watch those videos. And as you can see, this is a very small channel. Being bullied by your family is an issue for a lot of people. And literally, I put my videos out there hoping that I can just help one person. So there are thousands of people that have watched those videos and that feel less lonely about their situation. Now, getting back to the thinking process. Mick, how could your thinking process be more in alignment with your heart, is my question. That's the question that I'm posing to all of you. But I'm saying Mick because Mick inspired this video. Thank you so much, Mick. But how can your thinking process be in greater alignment with your heart? That's the question for everybody here, because it's from a high quality question that's open-ended that you can start to make shifts that move you in a new direction that opens up your potentials, because your potentials do not often open up automatically from your closed thinking that's limited, but it can open up exponentially faster through your heart space. So let's see. I am. Hello, hello, hello. Oh, thank you so much, I am. I love your name. Mick. Kiannaa, if you want live every day, this channel would grow, but I know that's what you're not about. Oh, thanks, Mick. Well, I just love seeing, having our intimate conversations here. And if more people come, they come. I know if I came on every day, it would grow, but I don't know. I just don't feel called to be on here every day. I did that last year, and I could grow, but I really, I'm not sure that's aligned for my purpose at this time. I want to grow in my my clients, and I want to grow with spirits who want to expand consciously, but I don't know if being on here every day doesn't seem to be aligned. But I'm thinking twice a week if I have the content. So you inspired this video. So if I get inspired again by the comments, I will be back. How about that? You inspire me, I'll be inspired to come back. We work as a collective here, and I love that. I am. Oh, nobody. Hello. Good to see you. You changed your name indeed. You are somebody. You are. And the question is, who am I really? That's another invitation for all of you to answer that question, to know who you are. Who am I? Who am I? There must be something in the field right now about I am, because somebody sent me a poem today about I am. I am. Anyway, so how can your thinking process be more in alignment with your heart, which is directly connected to who you are and who I am, right? So that's when you know your process will be more integratable, right? And once you can get integrated, then you can step into embodiment, which is the embodiment of higher consciousness. You can't get to embodiment by thinking that you're there. I wish you could. I wish it were that way. It maybe if you're somebody who lives in the mountains or in a cave, that'll get you there. But at least in our 3D matrix of a world here, the thinking is very infiltrated, and it's difficult to get to a semblance of balance. So, anyways, Eric, I don't have a number, Kiannaa. You're numberless. It says here you're number one. The numbers mean only what you make them mean, Eric. Isolation does help. You know, maybe it's not really isolation, but it's, what's another word for isolation? Because I think it's more about, it's stillness. And we can get to stillness in this world, in our meditations, but it's harder when we have so many distractions, right? There's this page I follow on Instagram. I don't know what it's called, but they do retreats into the darkness. And basically these people sign up to go sit in a dark cave for anywhere from like 2 or 3 days to a week. And they have teenagers that go there. They have adults that go there. But they post just videos of these reels of people who come out of the darkness, out of the stillness, and have just profound experiences of themselves. You know, and if that resonates with you, I'll go for it. For me, I don't feel pulled to go into the darkness. I think I have spent a lot of time in isolation, as you say, I am, and not like secluded, but to myself, quiet within. And obviously my work grew exponentially from that. Anyways, I am saying, or let me see. Hey, Rob1, hello. Good to see you. It's been a while. It's going great. I am saying sitting in silence. Yes, stillness, but even just knowing that stillness you know, I was at a wedding recently, and everybody was at a pool party, and I ended up going to the breakfast place that overlooked this incredible vineyard. This was in Italy. And I actually had the most magnificent experience in communion with all that is. I'll just say that. And let me tell you, you can be around people, you can have people doing things, and you can still meet that stillness within. Yeah. Mick is saying, that's a hard question to answer, Kiannaa. There's a lot. Well, good, Mick. I'll give you something to ponder. I am shadow work. Oh, it's my favorite too. I love shadow work. I love it. A lot of people don't like that. We are a small community here. My favorite part of doing shadow work is I love to learn. I love learning. The more I know I don't know, really. But the shadow work is really just how we expand our light, right? And so many people think they've got it, right? Their thinking gets them so stuck in this false reality, really. I don't even know what shadow work is. Oh, okay, Mick. Hey, Michelle. Good to see you. Okay, shadow work. Shadow work is those hidden, buried, or concealed aspects of ourself. That when you do that, when you basically start looking at, so a good way to do shadow work is obviously a situation that you might be in that is causing you a challenge, or somebody that triggers you. Most people have triggers, you know, and triggers are basically triggering that shadow aspect to be acknowledged. So doing shadow work is a way that you heal those wounds. It's a way that you heal those hidden or buried, unhealed aspects of your emotional body. So your emotional body is going to be part of the shadow work. Your mental body, your spiritual body, spiritual healing is all part of bringing light into the shadow so you can expand and hold more plasmic light. If you are unwilling to challenge your thinking or know something that bothers you, maybe you just don't want to know, right? That's being closed. You cannot be closed and say that you're open. It's like an oxymoron. It's like you could say whatever the hell you want, but you're lying to yourself. So being in denial, lying to yourself, self-sabotage, pretending, being fake, all those kinds of things, those keep you away from seeing the shadow. And also if you're somebody who abdicates your personal sovereignty or personal freedom, then you wouldn't even know that you're not doing shadow work. You might think because you read a book on shadow that you're doing shadow work, but those books are just like skimming the surface. The books, for the most part, not all of them, but a lot of them are not very good because they bring you outside of yourself. The shadow work, Mick, is really about going within and learning all the nooks and crevices of your identity that have gone denied, unseen. And yeah, so that's in a nutshell what shadow work is. I am says integrated energy therapy is a powerful yet gentle energy healing modality that uses angelic guidance and energy clearing techniques to promote holistic healing and well-being. Yep, there's all kinds of energy stuff out there. All kinds. So it's just a matter of what you resonate with. Obviously, for me personally, I really look for a practitioner, which is hard to come by, who operates in integrity, right? Those are few and far between. I am not one who, I would say, subscribes to prescriptive ways of doing things, because I believe we all have a unique signature. We have a unique experience here on this earth, and I find that people who are very prescriptive in what they've been taught, they don't know how to go off script, and that, I think, in the energy realms is very dangerous. The other thing I look for is if practitioners are operating out of fear, right? Because a lot of people are afraid of the shadow, afraid of the darkness, afraid of even dark forces. They're fearful of certain energy because there are a lot of things that could be quite yucky and dangerous and not very pleasant. I get that. But you shouldn't be afraid of it. And a practitioner that's afraid of those things, which is what I ran into, which is how I got to do what I'm doing, is because I couldn't find anybody that wasn't afraid to work in my field. So I had to learn how to clear myself energetically. Yeah, I am few and far between. Anyway, so I'm curious, any questions about the thinking process? How do you know if your thinking process is working? Oh, thank you, I am. Thank you. You're sweet. And it's good to see you on here. It's good to be back, actually, and inspired. So the thinking process, let me just think real quick. Let me take a moment. If you're well, I would just assume, that your thinking process is flawed. I think that's a better assumption. And so another question that you could ask is, how quickly can I get out of challenging situations, right? Challenging, meaning if you're in a challenge, let's just say you get triggered, how quickly can you get yourself into a peaceful state? That is a great way to discern if your thinking process is working or not. Because if you get triggered, you should be able to get to a peaceful space rather quickly. Peaceful, that doesn't mean you've resolved the issue. It just means that you are managing your field, your body, your thoughts, your energy in a way that is congruent with healing. So, well, I don't see any questions. So, or thoughts here. So I'm just going to see. Deep breathing gets me back quickly. Yeah, deep breathing can get you back, but if your thoughts bring you right out of it, then it's not working, right? So I think I know. I'm just going to end the poll here. And more than half of you said that if your thinking processes are working because you think so. So that's how you know it's wrong. If you're thinking your process is working, you're wrong. I would assume your thinking process is flawed because the mind is so easily infiltrated, so easily. In fact, it's the first time I've read about skull to brain technology, or what is it called? Skull to brain. Anyways, I just saw a video on it for the first time in years. I heard about brain to skull technology so many years ago, maybe 8 years ago, but it's the first time it's coming out. And this is really how signals are working. And in this video, they were talking about how Elon Musk is putting on those things, the transhumanism agenda and so forth. But you really don't even need those connections in your brain to be physical, because it's energetic. These thoughts are being pulsed to the masses. That's why so many people are so anxious and fearful, is because they're resonating at such a level where you're picking up on those frequencies. And that doesn't mean that I don't sense them or know them, but when I feel out of sorts, if you will, I try my best, just like I encourage you all to, is to get to center. Get to center. Where's center? Center is not in your gut. It's always going to be in your heart. In your heart is where you integrate. In your heart is where you embody always. I don't listen to the audios anymore. Yeah. I know there's a lot of people that listen to those YouTube frequencies that say they're specific hertz. But if you don't know hertz, how do you know what to trust? Because you're reading and they say it's what it is. I wouldn't trust what somebody says. I trust myself. And that's what I teach my clients to do. Anybody who has a session, I say, don't trust me. Trust yourself in relationship to me. Yeah. And just because you're having a thought about me doesn't mean it's about me. That's also true. But luckily, I have people who know that when they're thinking thoughts about me, that they're processing their own stuff, right? Their own projections potentially. And it can be very scary to tell somebody, hey, Kiannaa, you triggered this in me, and it feels very uncomfortable, and I want to share that with you. Because that trigger could be where your healing needs to go. Hey, Z. That's a shield. What's a shield? Let's hear, Z. What's a shield? Oh, you're saying hi and it said something else. Okay, got it. Good to see you. Good to see you. I've been talking. I don't know what part you heard. Anyways, yes, our words always could be shields. But I wonder, is what you're saying, oh, you're saying that my client was using that as a shield. I didn't perceive it that way. I felt it to be an open, honest conversation that was very challenging for them and very supportive of their healing. And I didn't see what they were saying as a projection, if you will, as much as a need to understand what they were feeling and processing and bring it to a new level of awareness. So yeah, it could be a projection to say something's a projection, 100%. I mean, our defense mechanisms can be so entangled with our way of being that we don't even know we have a defense mechanism up, right? That's the shadow work, is to understand not only that you have a defense mechanism, but when your defense mechanism is activated in a way that is unsupportive of your highest expression, because always you want to express in the highest ways possible. And sometimes until you've processed where that defense mechanism is coming from, and maybe that defense mechanism is a learned behavior, truthfully, you know. Anyway, well, it's been good seeing you all. So I want to go back to where I began with the poll. How do you know your thinking process is working? You have a knowingness it's working, meaning you absolutely know things are shifting, things are changing, you are evolving, not at the pace you want, but at the pace in which you are connected to your knowing. Because what you want is not necessarily always going to be in alignment with what's your highest expression. So challenge your thinking process. Know and explore different ways of processing through your heart. Practice, integrate, challenge yourself to know when you're in your heart, not think you're in your heart. And try to bring your thinking process through your heart. When you get more skilled, your thinking process will be more integrated. Yes? Anyways. Thank you so much, you all, for joining me today. I look forward to seeing you next time, perhaps next week, this weekend. I don't know. If somebody leaves a comment after you watch this of what this brought up for you, how might you know that you're in your knowing, or how do you know that you're thinking differently? Maybe that's a next video. How do you know that you're thinking differently? Anyways, I appreciate you all. Thank you. Thanks for being here. Thanks, Eric. Good to see you. Greeting everybody. I am Z. Everybody that joined today, thank you. And if you're watching this on the replay, please give me a like and a comment so I know you are here. See you all later. Bye.